What happens when someone returns from their worst season of their career and instantly takes over a Team USA training camp? Because that is exactly what Caitlin Clark did. She stepped into the gym after 8 months of rehabilitation. And within days, she was the most talked about player on the court. Hitting shots, pushing the pace, and making older colleagues glance around and say, "Okay, she's different now." So, let's talk about what changed, what she said in her big interview, and why Fever and Team US's supporters should be quite happy right now. Please let me know in the comments whether you're looking forward to Clark's comeback.
The first feeling going to be like suiting up for the senior national team.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Like, as a kid, this is what you grow up watching. So obviously I've watched a lot of really great players, and now I think it's kind of like going to be a pinch me moment. Like, this is kind of what you dream of. And obviously, as being somebody that's played for 3 junior national teams, not many kids that had that opportunity get this opportunity. So just super grateful.
Imagine this. You're Caitlin Clark, and the 2025 season keeps coming at you. One injury led to another, and so on. You're watching your teammates play from the bench or worse at home. And just when you believe you're on the verge of returning, something unexpected happens. That's basically what Fever fans experienced last season. Watching their franchise player go off the court for what seemed like an eternity. The injury timeline was terrible. It wasn't a simple injury in which you knew exactly what you were dealing with and when you'd be back. It continued accumulating. And that is the part that wears on a player's mind more than anything else, because you can manage one setback. You rehab, work, and come back, but when it happens often, skepticism sets in. Clark actually said it. She explained, "The injuries messed with my psyche." Think about who is saying that. Someone who entered the WNBA as a rookie and quickly took over. So when she reveals that something has tampered with her mental health, it is not a little issue.
I've always been a person that's going to just rely on my work. Like, I feel like it's certainly made me work harder, but that's also probably the part that kind of stunk about it, is I felt like I put in so much time and so much energy going into last season, and then obviously I only appeared in about 13 games, and some of those probably wasn't as healthy as I probably should have been. So I think just relying on that. I think for me, obviously I didn't have, it's not like I, hurt my knee or, was in tore my Achilles or something like that. Obviously, knock on wood, it was kind of these nagging injuries that continued to build up and dealt with one on top of the other. And
she opened herself in a way that felt very different from how she generally communicates publicly. She expressed not knowing when she'd feel healthy again. The aggravation of the unknown and how difficult it was to sit with all of this. Most sportsmen avoid this level of honesty because it makes them appear vulnerable. But she went there. Here's where things get interesting, though. She didn't end with "it was hard." She said she came back even better than I was at the start of last season. Not back to usual. Not going back to where she was. Better. This is a very different statement. And it explains exactly how she is presenting everything that happened.
I think that was probably almost, played with my mind even more than knowing I was going to be out for a set period of time. I was always trying to come back. And then I'd get hurt in another way. And then, finally, obviously shutting it down. I've had a good, 6 months or maybe more. And I think the first USA basketball camp was a great checkpoint for me. And I felt really great. Honestly, I was impressed with how with it I felt. Sometimes I felt like it maybe would take me a day or two to really get my first step back. But I felt like myself out there.
Because the job she did was not limited to rehabilitation. She mentioned getting herself into the best shape I could be in at this stage. And the way she phrased it made it plain that this was a complete rebuild, not simply being well enough to play. Conditioning, skill development, everything of it. And beneath all of this is something that has never been addressed loudly. The Olympic exclusion for 2024. She was not on that roster. She never made a big deal over it. However, this does not imply that it did not affect her. So stepping inside a Team USA facility now has more weight than just basketball.
Just remind myself who I am and what I've been, and I didn't lose that, so just continue to do that.
The coaches saw it right away. The teammates witnessed it. And honestly, you can see that in the film from the first few days of camp. She does not appear to be on the verge of making a comeback. Here's something that doesn't get discussed enough. Most players who have returned from a lengthy injury layoff take it gradually. They test the water. They don't impose anything. That is merely your body's natural instinct after going through it. But Clark didn't do that at this camp. And the footage makes it very clear.
Look at that knockdown. One more time, Caitlin. Give it to him. One more time. One more time. Side step. Come on, man. Smooth. Smooth as a baby's behind. Knockdown, baby. I like it. Let's go, Caitlin. Hey, we locked in, man. Y'all see how clean USA basketball is looking right now? Come on, man. I know it's just some chill drills. I know y'all can say, man, Izzy, you hyping this up a little too much. But honestly, it is just a good sight to see.
Let me discuss what this atmosphere actually looked like. This was not a casual team-building excursion. 5 games are scheduled over the next 7 days. A roster full of veterans and rising talents vying for roles and minutes. Clark has returned to competitive basketball after an 8-month hiatus. The passion was palpable from day one. So everyone's question coming in was straightforward. Would she be tentative? Because when gamers return, you can see them guarding themselves without recognizing it. The hesitation on drives, the shot fakes that used to be pull-up threes, the tiny things that indicate a player is still working through something mentally, even if they claim to be well.
You got to go out. Hey, go out. Move on back. Move on back. Sit there. Section. Here.
She answered the question quickly. The sidestep shooting and exercises dropped cleanly from the start. Not just occasionally, but consistently. And in 5-on-5, she pushed the tempo, making rapid, decisive touches without waiting to see how things progressed. The intensity she exuded caused analysts and fans to quickly pay attention. Then there was the game winner during exercises. Let's talk about that specifically because it affected the overall camp feel. And that counts because a made shot in practice is still a made shot, right? But this one wasn't. That moment was a signal to her teammates, coaches, and, most importantly, to herself. She isn't here just to get through camp. She is here to compete. Paige Buckers and Kelsey Plum both expressed their willingness to share the floor with her. And when athletes at that level publicly acknowledge she looks different, it carries significant weight. That is not simply being nice to a teammate. Those are competitors who pay attention to detail. The overall camp chemistry was also unique. Clark appears alongside Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, and Paige Becker. There was a mix of youthful energy and veteran edge that felt distinctly different from prior USA camps. Someone even referred to it as young and turnt, which is rather fitting. It didn't feel like a group trying to figure each other out. Here's when things become interesting. By the end of the first week, no one was wondering if she belonged anymore.
I mean, I don't even think it's like necessarily maybe nerves to a certain extent, probably almost like butterflies. Like, this is a super cool opportunity. And like, if you didn't feel that way, you probably don't really care enough about it. Like, that's how I feel about it for myself. Like, this is a different stage. Like, you're not going to come out here and be the star player. That's not how it's going to be for USA basketball. Like, you're going to find a way to help the team win. You're going to find a way to compete to the best of your ability. But I think for myself, like, there's certainly a level of, I don't want to call it nerves, but excitement and joy. And I mean, I haven't played basketball in 8 months either. So getting to do it at this level for my first time back, like, there's no better way. Like, get tossed out into the fire and figure it out. But I felt really good through practice. So more than anything, just really excited. But I know day of the game, I'm going to be hyped up and probably a little anxious, but in a good way.
Clark said, "Oh, it's going to be amazing." This is exactly what you hoped for. That sounds like something every athlete would say. When that phrase is juxtaposed with everything she went through in 2025 and the 2024 Olympic crisis, it takes on a whole new meaning. This is not a player reciting a normal media line. This is someone who had to wait for this moment in a way that most other players on the team did not. Let's talk about what she said during the interview about the USA jersey. She talked about her childhood idols in USA basketball, the athletes she admired and aspired to be like, and how wearing that uniform ties to something she's worked toward her entire life. It wasn't simply about pride in the moment. It was as if the moment had finally caught up with something she had been carrying for quite some time. Consider this youthful core Clark. Buchers, Angel, Ree, Kiki, and Arian, and what USA Basketball is genuinely creating here. The veterans in camp are actively pushing that group ahead, and Clark is no longer just part of the picture. She's becoming one of its anchors. Let us be direct about things. Everything you just saw at the team. USA Camp is essentially a promo for the 2026 Indiana Fever basketball season. And the signals are quite good. Think about what Clark is currently building. After 8 months away, I am confident in my ability to hit shots. The leadership representatives of managing a backcourt in international competition. She's making floor general decisions in real game circumstances against actual defenders. All of this travels back to Indiana with her. The Fever doesn't simply receive a healthy Clark in 2026. They acquire Clark, who has spent her offseason doing this.
Once you start those games, it's 5 games in 7 days.
Yeah.
Just how are you going to ramp up to that and just make sure?
I guess we're going to find out like really quickly, like what type of shape I'm in. And I feel like I've put myself in the best possible shape that I could be in at this point. And, you know, sometimes almost the first game is the hardest, but once you get in kind of the flow of things and you figure things out and you kind of get your wind back, you're in a little bit better of a position. But it's definitely going to be quite a few in a short period of time, but that's kind of what makes it fun. You play, and it's very similar to the WNBA. You have back-to-backs, you have 1 day in between, so I feel like that's something we're also used to. Maybe not quite the 5 games in 7 days, but that's also just international competition. So, you know, it's what I've dealt with in the past, and then going forward, hopefully for, you know, looking forward to the World Cup if I'm not lucky enough to be on that team. Like, it's the same exact scenario with even more games, so it's great preparation for that too.
Because here's the thing with 2025. Clark's injury wasn't the only reason it was difficult. Without her leading the offense, the entire team's ceiling dropped. Lexi Hall couldn't do what she does best unless Clark drew defenders. Sophie Cunningham's hardness and versatility did not allow her to fully express herself. The entire offensive framework kind of sat there. So the question for 2026 isn't only about Clark's health. It is up to this group to build on the version of her that is now visible. And let's speak about Hull and Cunningham specifically because Clark's collaboration with those two is really important. Hull is maturing into a dependable winger who can move without the ball. Cunningham brings a physical element to shot making. Those two, together with a locked-in floor general version of Clark, promise to make Indiana's next season very interesting.
I remember Kara Callan talking to us, like when me and Paige, and I know AB isn't here, but even I played with Ryan on the U19 team, like on the junior national teams, there's only going to be like a couple of you that end up making it to make a senior debut. So whether that's the World Cup, whether the World Cup qualifier, whether that's, you know, the Olympics, every single part of it and part of the journey is really special. So I know we're a ways away even from the World Cup and obviously a ways away from the Olympics, but this is still really exciting in itself and kind of the first step in this journey.
Here's when things become interesting. Off the court, too. Clark has been cautious and team-oriented in her public comments on the CBA predicament. She's not been vocal or controversial about it. That is not nothing. The way a player handles such situations in public reveals information about how they handle them in the locker room. And both Team USA and the Fever will have a leader who focuses on basketball. And the floor general piece is real. Fever supporters waited, watched, and speculated on her return and appearance throughout 2025, and now, Clark is out here saying she isn't back to where she was before her injuries. She passed it. Nobody was looking forward to the 2025 season. However, as I see Clark at this Team USA camp, it appears to be more of a setup than a setback. Here's the thing with Caitlin Clark's homecoming. It's not only that she is healthy. The bruises, the omission, and the 8 months of silence all sharpened something in her that was already quite acute. The players that share the floor with her during this camp are the first to notice it. So whether you're a Fever fan, a Team USA supporter, or simply someone who enjoys good basketball, these FIBA qualifiers are worth watching. Please let me know in the comments whether you're looking forward to Clark's comeback. Like, subscribe, and enable all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you next.